Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I've got Milledge with us, and he has a YouTube channel as well. He deals more with videography, but he's also a car guy. So he came up with this great idea about doing interviews with people to find out their first cars, kind of understand where they came from and why they are car people. So today I'm going to introduce Milledge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here again.
And we're going to get right to it and start in with this new segment.
All right, so I'll kind of lead into it because you're the host of the show, but we want you to be the first one. John, what was your first car?
It was a Bugatti Veyron.
Ooh.
Yeah,
man,
no,
setting the bar really high right off the bat.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was actually, so you gotta remember time too. So this is back in 1995. Holy mother of Moses.
I thought you were gonna say 75, so.
It's better than that, but it was a 68 Mustang. And back in 95, a 68 Mustang was not anything that important, rare, or people really wanted. But for me, it was awesome. It was everything. Well, it was freedom, right? It's your first car. You can do what you want. And it was a Mustang, had a V8 in it. It was a 302 that probably had 200 horsepower. But in the day, in 95, 200 horsepower wasn't that bad. And also, this is my first car. So to me, that is light speed. It wasn't even about the horsepower because I couldn't even use it. I remember driving this to school. And back in 95, if you were a senior at high school, you could drive. So I wasn't a senior in 95. I couldn't drive it to school just yet. I had to wait a little bit. But I do remember when I first started to get to drive it is around the October, November, December time. My birthday's in October, so it's usually cooler out and gets cold. Well, this is not a modern car, so there was no air conditioning. That was just rolling down your windows. But even the defrost and the heater, it was questionable. And if you remember Ace Ventura, where he sticks his head out of the window so he could see, that is exactly how I drove. Now, back in the day, I thought that was cool as hell because, I mean, come on, this thing was badass and just an amazing vehicle. It was a dark blue with white racing stripes. It was everything I expected. It gave me the freedom to do things. It allowed me to get into cars. Now, before that, I've had cars in the family since I was 3. The 1930 Model A that we have sitting right over there is from my dad. He is not a car guy at all. I don't even know.
Really?
Yeah. Why would you buy this car if you're not a car guy?
That's interesting that you were the first car guy in your family, considering, like you said, with JJ in the Model A.
Well, and it's funny because when he bought the Model A, I was, what did I say, 3 years old? Mm-hmm. So this is back in, 83, 84, somewhere around there. And he had a choice between the 1930 Model A or a DeLorean. So totally different spectrum. I don't know what he was thinking. I think he had a friend at work that had a DeLorean and a Model A. Yeah. And he was like, well, I'll buy one of them.
Your dad could have ended up being Doc.
Yeah.
For all we know, you could have been Marty by now.
Imagine how it would have all changed. I mean, I would love to have a DeLorean, probably more than I love to have the Model A. It's sentimental value. A Model A is a terrible car. It should not be anyone's first car. In Fast and Furious, when they say double clutching, they have no idea what they're talking about because that car has no synchros. You have to double clutch it. Yeah. So it's totally different. But that's kind of how I first got my first taste of cars. I think there's a photo somewhere of me being 3 years old, and he has taken the body completely down. It is just a frame, and I am sitting on an egg crate.
Oh, that's cool.
With the steering wheel just coming out. Yeah. So that was my first taste of it. But I don't think I really loved cars at that point. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was until my 68 Mustang that I really got to the point that I was like, I love these things. And most of it was because of how crappy the 68 Mustang was. I had no AC, no radio originally. I did buy one of the Sony CD players, right? With the anti-skip. That was big technology back then.
That was.
Velcroed it to the floor because you had the carpet tunnel.
Yep.
Put a radio in that had the cassette player that used, so I put the cassette in, plugged that to my CD player. Man, this 68 Mustang could have been on Pimp Your Rides.
At least your cassette player worked, because when I was 4-ish, I ruined my dad's cassette player in his truck at the time by thinking it was a piggy bank. And years later, I think I was a senior in high school actually when he finally decided to fix it. And he ended up with like 65 cents that I had crammed in there. And so we went like most of my childhood with no cassettes in the Blazer. You've already kind of touched on what the car meant to you. What is one memory of that car in particular that stands out? And we'll just go ahead and say that the statute of limitations is off. I imagine by now nobody will get mad at you for a burnout in the old Walmart parking lot or whatever. What is one memory in particular with that car that you remember?
So the time I got a ticket for the burnout in the mall parking lot is way later in my life, and that 68 Mustang would not do it. No, the thing that stands out the most about the 68 Mustang is when I sold it. That was the first time that I realized that you could buy a car and make money off of it. However, I was young, right? So I didn't have a lot of experience with cars. And two, I thought every car that you bought, you can make money on. So what do I do? As soon as you sell a 68 Mustang, what do?
Go buy a 67?
That would have been the smart thing to do. I went out and bought a brand new Mustang right off the lot. Had all of the depreciation in it, went to sell that one years later and lost my shirt. And that's when I realized that cars can make you money, they can lose you money. And that was my first education into buying and selling cars, and has been the basis for everything that I've done.
That's awesome, because you watch your channel so much and you've touched on that several times, and it's like he had to have learned that by smelly experience. And there's the old nasty shirt that you lost.
The sad thing is I learned by bad experience. It would have been better the other way around on losing the first one, because I sold that car for $5,000. I lost way more than $5,000 in the depreciation of a brand new Mustang.
You probably drove off $5,000 off the lot off the bat.
It was a hard experience, especially when by that time I think I was somewhere around 18 to 20, somewhere in there. And money is hard to come by. A lot of people see kind of a snapshot of me now, and by no means did I grow up driving the most fancy car. To me, it was the most fancy car. We bought it for $3,000, sold it for $5,000. I made $2,000. At that time, I was Bill Gates.
I was going to say, that's one of the things that why I wanted to do this especially this channel with you and everything, or this show, is because that first car, like you said, it gives you the freedom. It makes you feel like you're king of the road, like you have all that money. But then you kind of look back on it now and you're like, man, I was dumb. Man, that was silly that I thought that car was so cool. But then years later, you're still going, man, the sentimental value of that car, nothing can replace that. Kind of like how I'm trying to find the old cameras that I once owned. If you got that Mustang.
Would love to buy that old Mustang back. I mean, it's more the sentiment of it.
Exactly.
And it wasn't a fastback. It wasn't, a big engine car. It was just a 68 coupe that was mine. And I loved it, And, when you get your first car, what do you think? That you're going to get every girl? And I will tell you this now. No car has ever gotten me a girl. In fact, cars can lose you women. I've driven up in the NSX to a date before and then watched as the girl was like, "Oh, you think you're fancy?" I'm like, well, no, I mean, don't you like cars? No, you don't like. Okay, we got that you don't like cars.
There you go.
I will drive my PT Cruiser next time, which is how I met my wife.
That's fun.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask her what her first car is sometime too.
Oh, I think I know, but I'm not sure.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. And that's the other thing, trying to figure out what your significant other's first car, because Laura had an old Buick. Like, we're talking like the land yacht kind of thing.
Wow.
And she still had it when she and I met. And the funny thing was, she then sold it to her neighbor for her neighbor's grandson to use, and he used it until like a year or two ago, and it just like it flat died because Megan, Laura, and then this other kid had used it all the way through.
Now, do you want to buy that one back?
Oh, heck no.
Yeah.
See, there are certain ones,
there are some cars where you're like, nope.
Like even my S10, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but then again, last time I saw it, it was in real bad condition. But it's because you look at it and you go, oh, I remember what I did to do that, or I remember that little story. So what was one of you've already kind of said the CD player. What was maybe another mod that made you go, I'm a car guy, look at me go.
Oh man, you know that this was coming. Wheels. You got to put wheels on a car.
Excuse me, rims. Back in the day, rims.
Yeah, well, tires are tires and wheels are rims, right? But I went retro with it, and they were Kriegers.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had the muscle car look to the car that weren't the original like cast wheels that were just, to me, they made it look even older. This made it look a little bit sportier and newer, and oh man, such a big difference.
You've kind of already said no AC, the defrost didn't really work. What was your least favorite part about that car? Something that like always just, you look, every day you got into that car and you went, I need to fix this now.
Well, so there was something that I hated about the car, but it was never anything that I thought that I could fix. Back in '68, you got 3 keys.
Oh, yeah.
One for the ignition, one for the door, and one for the trunk.
Yep.
So I had 3 keys at all times. And when it is pouring down rain and you're trying to get into this, you are putting a key into a door, which is something that I don't think most kids today realize.
Nope.
You know, you have to put a key in the door, turn it, unlock it, open the door, and when it's pouring down rain, that is just the worst thing to do. Yep. Or if you have a girl with you, you have to unlock their door first, or you should.
I was going to say, at least you were a gentleman. Some guys are like, I'll unlock it for you real quick.
You know, if I would have thought about that now, maybe different. But yeah, no, I mean, you got to open the door for her first, especially in, you know, such a classic 68 Mustang that she could care less about and thought was a piece of
junk.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like my dad's 84 Blazer. It had 2 keys, and luckily one was rounded, one was square, so we knew the rounded was for the door, the square was for the ignition. But it was always one of those, why can't the same key in the door be the one for the ignition?
I just wanted 1 key. I was happy with that. Nowadays, you get a key fob and you can just walk into the car, start it, no need for anything.
And soon you're not even going to need that, because like I know my F-150, you've got the door code, and I could theoretically leave the key in the little hidden compartment and use the door code.
I was about to say, but
it won't actually lock.
Do you need the key though still to start the car?
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool if you could just use a code?
Yeah.
Or put your thumbprint in there?
Yeah. Or just have it on your phone.
Yep.
You know, just sit there and go start the car.
Because you know I don't go anywhere without my phone. No one does.
So you probably noticed during this, we've been enjoying the Sam Adams Oktoberfest, and it feels a little dirty to do this during September, just a little bit. I love a good Oktoberfest.
I don't care.
And this morning it's been in the 60s, so it was amazing. But I usually like to wait till October, but I love Oktoberfest. I've seen a couple people on different channels do this, and as we invite people on, we're hoping that they'll bring one of their favorite drinks along. Whether it be, I was really expecting you to do a rum and coke.
Oh, I could. Well, but it's also 9 o'clock in the morning,
that's
and
true.
I didn't really think that was appropriate.
As we bring people on, you know, somebody may not be a drinker, so if we end up with a fancy coffee or whatever, that'd be cool.
Fresca.
I
love Fresca.
Yep. If you want that, we'll ask my mom what her first car was, and that actually is a very fun story.
See?
So we're hoping that people will bring some interesting different things to try.
Well, Oktoberfest is the male version of a PSL, which is pumpkin spice latte for all you non-females out there.
Yep. So, but this has been fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what some other people have to say about what their first cars are. You know, if you'd like to be featured on this, get with John.
Just leave me a comment down below. It's the easiest way. Make sure you like and subscribe. It really does help with the algorithm, and so that we can continue to do this, because Sam Adams isn't free, and we've got to be able to pay for the drinking that goes on, right?
So exactly.
Make sure you do that.
Because I think back to my bar tabs back in college and everything, and it'd be nice to start making some of that money back eventually.
Well, God, I'll never make all that money back.
But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.